So tonight we have a friend here tonight, and she's gonna talk about mental health versus mental illness, which is a topic that it's out there. Like, we're all thinking about it, especially with the pandemic that we're still going through. We all got affected by it somehow, and I'm pretty sure she's gonna present something that will help us in this journey. So thank you, Miriam.
Posso colocar meu tablet aqui. Isso vai caber. Ok. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Mental health is still a stigma in society. When you talk about mental health, people associate to mental illness, which is different. Taking care of our mental health is to be able to keep your mind healthy. Okay? Mental illness is different because there is already a pathology associated to that. So let's see some concepts before we keep going. Okay. So mental health, according to the dictionary, is the emotional balance between internal patrimony and external demands or experiences. It's the ability to manage one's life and its emotions within a wide spectrum of variations without losing the value of the real and the pressures. It is being able to be subject of his own actions without losing the notion of time and space. It is to seek to live life in its maximum fullness, respecting the legal and the other. So this is what mental health is to be balanced in all aspects of your life. Okay? And we could talk more about it. So mental disease or mental illness, okay, what's the definition of it? It's a health problem that significantly affects how a person thinks, behaves, and interacts with other people. There are significant difficulties in developing reasoning, organizing ideas, expressing feelings, or the apparent impossibility of expressing feelings and reasoning, being numerous such as anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, personality disorders, eating disorders, depression, and the list goes on and on and on and on. Okay? So why do we speak about cells and neurons, oops, I'm sorry, I always go too fast, and the chemicals in the brain in the Spiritist Center? Why do we have to talk about it? Well, if we think about it, okay, if we take a Lexan, for example, where does it affect it? If we feel pain, where do you feel the pain? In the body, right? So this is all related to the body. And what's connected to the body?
The brain.
The brain, but our spirit is connected to our body. Okay? So what we talk about everything. So we talk about the body because ultimately the spirit, of course, brings to the body most of the illness that the body acquires throughout a lifetime. So we have to talk about the body as we talk about the spirit, right? Because we are souls, we are incarnated souls and spirits when we go back to the spiritual plane. So in this graph here, in the past times, the influence of matter and spirit were 50-50. Now, the influence, the material influence on us is 99%, while the spiritual influence is 1%. Okay? So what mostly defines people is their behavior is matter, okay? Most of the things that we go through is influenced by creation, by laws, and by the environment, because we are here, we are incarnated here, and we suffer all of these influences in our lives. So we are whole beings, okay? The perfect mind-body interaction, spirit, matter, okay, is already the basis of the current holistic model for your health. Obviously, not all scientists think that way, okay? So, spirit plus spirit and plus body, when we consider healing, we have to consider us as a whole being. So in the realms of mediumship, they bring the following. The corporeal life is the synthesis of the radiations of the soul. There are no organs in harmony without balanced thoughts, as there is no order without intelligence. So an afflicted mind can expand rays, okay, and disorganize the body. Okay, that's what it means here. So, and there is a great misinformation of how the mental illnesses develops. Okay, if humanity understood that the health of the body is the reflection of spiritual harmony, they would then consecrate more time to develop spiritually and to do the inner transformation that needs to be done. So, I don't know if you watched that movie. It's a kid's movie. It's called Inside Out. And it's interesting because it's a lot of emotions that they show, and these emotions play a big part or a big role in the person's life. So you have anger, you have depression, and then you have happy, and then you have angry. And it's very interesting to analyze how the characters play in the movie. So the enslavement to symptoms and to medications is on occasion fruit of the imbalances that we impose ourselves. And then you're gonna ask me, okay, but there is no mental illness or mental health that is due just like for chemical imbalances? Yes, there is. Okay, but everything is related to the spirit. That may be something that you brought to this incarnation because of your past regressions. So everything is related to the spirit. So the greater the deviation, the costlier the recovery effort is. Because when you come with a mental illness or you develop a mental illness throughout your life, it's an opportunity for you to offset the, let's say, the bad things that you did in the past, okay? So, give me 1 second here. Let me look at my notes. Okay. All right, so man is the tenant of the body. So his obligation is to preserve the house that he inhabits. Right? So if we do not have our thoughts aligned, our emotions harmonized, and we don't search for knowledge that makes us grow, and we just decide to live a material life and extremely connected to that, and be very selfish and be arrogant and egotistic, you're gonna generate things that are not good for you, either in this life or in the following lives, because we don't only live one life. We live many lives until we can perfect our spirits. So all of the feelings that put us in this harmony with the environment and with the people that surround us generate emotions that disorganize the body that we live in. So according to the Spiritist literature, disturbed minds emit lines of force that will interfere as invisible poisons on the endocrine system, compromising the normality of the functions. So whatever the nature is, if the man cultivates good thoughts, and is always in harmony with himself, the environment, and the people that surround him, then also the body will be in perfect health. Also the mind will be in perfect health. But what's the origin of diseases? Is it the brain? I guess I already said that, right? It's not. So the brain does not think. Okay, who thinks is the spirit. The brain relays what the spirit thinks. Okay? The brain also produces no feelings. The soul reproduces the feelings. And our perispirit archives contains records of innumerable incarnations that often lie asleep, waiting for the stimulus to be corrected, chiseled, and rearranged in a balanced manner. So our perispirit is the one that records everything. When we leave this body, our perispirits will go with our spirits, and it has all of our good deeds and all of our transgressions recorded in the perispirit. When we come back into a new body, the perispirits will come with us, and we'll have the body according to our needs. And we have to offset that. That body is going to be prepared to develop whatever it has to develop. So, when the spirit wishes to flee from objective reality, it creates psychological mechanisms of escape. Diseases originate in the spirit except for poisonings or trauma. The changes that happen in the spirit produce changes in the body. Okay, that's a saying from Dr. Alírio Cerqueira Filho. So in the Spiritist view, the spiritual body brings from other incarnations energetic changes or imbalances that vibrate at a certain frequency, and therefore attune, favor, or attract the situations of mental disorders. Okay, since we're talking about mental disorders, we're just going to talk about mental disorders. And we could talk about a lot of other things, but we have to concentrate in one thing because the topic is so vast that we could spend weeks talking about it. All right. So there are situations arising from the present existence, and they could be arising from past existence too. Okay. So non-elaborated mental thought, yes?
So you're saying that the soul gets sick first before the body?
Yes. Yes. Always the responsible for whatever you go through is the spirit. Yeah. The body is just a vehicle. You are responsible for taking care of it through your actions, through your thoughts, through your feelings, through your emotions. You are the responsible one.
There's some exceptions in there. Poisoning.
Oh yeah, with the exception of poisoning and trauma. Okay, accidents are also exceptions because that's why they're called accidents.
Expiation. How do you call it in English? Expiação.
I'm sorry?
Expiação in English.
Expiation, I think it is. Yeah.
Okay. It's more like an
Atonement. Yeah.
The translation of
Yeah. So we produce blockages, and these blockages will come with us. And also, there is an exception of congenital disease, which is the case of the Down syndrome or trisomy 21, which is something that there is no possibility of cure per se, because we cannot remove the extra chromosome from the brain. So in those cases, there is no cure here. So the person will go through that their whole life until they pass away. Okay. Let's see the purpose of all that. Okay. So genetics is not shaped by the perispirit. No one suffers a relevant pathology without having a spiritual question to solve. Okay, that's Dr. Sergio Thyssen. The predisposition comes from transgressions of the divine laws, which I already mentioned. Okay, so diseases are opportunities that we ask for to develop new skills, new perceptions, and new sensitivities. Huh? He's going to be here in February? Oh my gosh. Oh, I'll be here. I love him. He's great. Yeah.
Does that mean that a particular disorder or illness comes from a specific, I don't know, transgression? Or it could be
in a specific transgression. I don't know if it's in a specific transgression. It says transgressions that we committed in the past. You know, I don't have like specific details. Do you know anything, Luigi? If it's like in a specific transgression that you have committed that is going to cause a specific disease, or?
I don't think that anything is specific is general.
Yeah.
Every case is a case, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what we've seen in a lot of the studies is autism.
Autism. Mm-hmm.
Most of them is related to this transgression in a past life. A specific one, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more, a lot of the case they study in the spiritual center and they show that, but it's not a 100 over 100.
Okay.
But it's
Yeah.
not that.
Because in the literature, they don't really specify each one of the mental illnesses. Oh, this is because of this, or that is because of that, or
They don't have the knowledge to understand that.
Exactly. Maybe we can't understand it. Yeah.
The reason why I ask is to try to understand if there's something that I or whomever would have to work on, and the fact of having an illness or a tendency or whatever it is, you may have a tendency to depression or something else. If that gives like an idea of what the person should be working on. I personally think that it doesn't matter what you did, what kind of transgression you did. All you have to do really is to develop the virtues that you need to overcome that. That's what I think. Yeah.
And the mental health.
Yeah. All right, so the purpose of mental diseases, the purpose is always to generate benefit or opportunity for the spirit. They are never punishment, but consequences of the perfect law of the universe. Okay? Universal law does not punish, reward, or forgive. It is simply the law of love, justice, and charity. And that's one thing that sometimes people don't understand. The natural laws, they work by themselves. Either you believe them or you don't, or if you believe in reincarnation or if you don't believe in reincarnation, it still exists, and you still are going to go through many, many lives until you perfect yourself. Okay? And as we are immersed in the divine energy, everything we think, feel, or do returns to us. It's the law of attraction and reaction. So we should always watch the way we think, the way we feel towards ourselves, importantly, because we do have to love ourselves above all, and towards others. So if we could keep putting ourselves down and feeling that we're not worthy, or feeling guilty, or blame ourselves for a lot of things that maybe we think we haven't done right, that's not going to help. Okay? So at this moment, what you can do is look at yourself honestly, look at your transgressions, and try not to do that again. Forgive yourself. If you can, if you have a fight with somebody, go talk to that person, establish the peace, you know, and keep going. So the subconscious process happens through psychological mechanisms that keep the person sick to obtain secondary gains. In these mechanisms of self-punishment, the person judges, condemns, and punishes himself with the disease. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes we have an unconscious guilt or blame that can be from this life or from a past life. And then instead of working on that, we judge ourselves, we condemn ourselves, and we punish ourselves, bringing the disease into our body.
And also when you don't manifest your feelings, don't take this out of you doing a therapy or something, one is going to growing, and
yes.
blow, you're going to get sick.
Yes, and that's why I say that mental health is still a stigma, because people resist a lot in doing therapy. And therapy, when you have the right therapist and the right kind of therapy, because there are, you know, the Newtonian mechanicist psychologists that don't believe in reincarnation, that don't work any of this, and then maybe you're not gonna have the help that you need. But when you have the right person, you're gonna be helped, and you're gonna get there. And a lot of people have come out of medications just doing the right therapy.
Also, in respect of what you just said before, to ask forgiveness to the person, because it's a tough step, right? Sometimes to person to confront. So a good practice would be like just mentally start asking forgiveness for that person.
You can visualize the person in front of you, talk to that person, and ask for forgiveness, make the peace if you can't really talk to the person.
But
yes.
Is that enough? Like with that person, that other person still have to acknowledge?
What the person is gonna think or feel, it's their problem. You have to resolve your end.
Right.
You know, if you can't resolve with the person, you have to resolve your end.
Forgiveness is for you, not them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Forgiveness is gonna free you from the feeling, you know. Of course, you want the other person to feel the same and have forgiveness as well. When that is possible, it's wonderful. When it's not, we do our part. Okay. All right, so consciously refuses self-healing. So when we don't look for help and we stay in the same mental state and suffering, we are refusing self-healing, okay? So according to estimates by the World Health Organization, about 300 million people across the world suffer depression. 50 million have dementia. Schizophrenia affects 23 million, and bipolar disorder reaches 60 million. It's a lot of people.
More than a billion.
Yeah. So there are several mental disorders, you know. That's the anxiety disorders are prevalent in Americas. Alcohol-related disorders predominate in Russia and Mongolia. Depressive disorders are prevalent in Asia and Africa. That's according to the Health Metrics and Evaluation, University of Washington.
There's a new one called alcohol dementia disorder.
Yeah, there are so many types, and they are always discovering a new one. Yeah.
I was surprised to know that alcohol provokes dementia.
Well, it affects the brain if you drink too much. If you, yeah. So there are lots of types of mental diseases: anxiety disorders, behavioral disorders, personality disorders, eating disorders, psychotic disorders, post-traumatic stress disorders, drug use disorders. So we could talk, like I said, for the whole week or the whole month about each one of them, to expand it. But I'm going to concentrate in two topics that I think are very present in our society today. One is depression, and the other is anxiety. Okay? And anxiety can create a lot of other types of mental illnesses as well. Okay? So all of these, they are normally characterized by a combination of abnormal thoughts, perceptions, emotions, and behavior, which can also affect relationships with other people. Among the mental disorders are all of these. And we're going to go. We also have mood disorders and obsessive disorders. So depression. Okay? This is just an overview that I got from our website, okay? The cognitive symptoms that you can have, the emotional symptoms, the physical symptoms, and the behaviors. That's after it's established, okay? So, but let's keep going. So, the purpose of depression is the encounter with oneself, making reflections, remaking observations, and planning new directions. Unfortunately, a large number of people give it to abandonment, cultivating self-pity or revolt. Depression is a disease of the soul, which feels guilty and not infrequently carries this feeling in the unconscious as a result of unhappy behaviors practiced in the wake of reincarnations and must therefore be treated at the heart of its origin. That's said by Joanna De Angelis in one of her books in 2010. Okay, so the opportunity is for you to work on those feelings of guilt, on those feelings of self-pity, of victimism. So that's the opportunity that you have to work on that. But what happens to the majority of people is that they feel that people owe them something. You owe me something. Oh, I'm depressed. You have to do this for me, or the society has to do this for me. But I don't have to work on myself. I can just sit here and take a box of medication every month, and I'm fine. Okay, I don't have to make any other efforts. So the effort has to come from within. You have to have the willpower to do that. You have to be willing to get better, to be healthy. So there is also, when we look at the brain, we have the chemicals in the brain: serotonin, dopamine, and noradrenaline. So the serotonin, the deficiency of these substances cause demotivation, okay? The dopamine gives yourself self-control, and the noradrenaline, the deficiency of this substance, makes the person understand, want, know, but being unable to change. Why am I bringing this? Because when the depression is installed in the brain and there is deficiency of any of this, you have to combine therapy sessions with medicamentation. You have to take medicine to chemically balance your brain, okay? So once you chemically balance your brain and then you can think and then you can have a little more motivation for that, therapy is gonna help a lot. So when this is already established, then Joana de Angelis says in her books that you need to take medication. Some people need to take medication for their whole lives. Anxiety, the psychopathology of anxiety involves respiratory changes, excessive sweating, disturbances in the digestive system and sleep, affecting peaceful sleep and causing the individual to wake up feeling sick or alert. It is believed that this condition did not arise by chance, but as a symptom or result of a previous experience. Anxiety is considered by many to be the illness of the 21st century. So, according to the Spiritist literature, anxiety comes from the willingness, the want to control. So when you want to control the past or the future or the people that surround you or the events or the situations, that creates anxiety, okay? So the person that has this intention of controlling, that is a controller per se, is always anxious. Because nobody can control the future events. Nobody can control what other people think, feel, or say. So that anxiety just grows and grows and grows. So you want to be omnipotent, is that how you say it? Omnipotent, and have everything under your control, okay? So when you want to be omnipotent,
That's selfish.
it's related to it, you know, because omnipotent is that I have everything under my control. Yeah. You have power. Yes, it's related to power. So when you want that and you don't really deal with it and you don't understand that you cannot control that, you can generate more serious types of anxieties, like generalized anxiety, panic attacks, phobias, and you name it. Okay? So we have to understand that we don't control anything. We can control what we feel, what we think, but not what other people feel and think and say about us. We cannot control what's going to happen tomorrow or in a minute from here. So once the person understands that and tries to develop the virtue of serenity, of calmness, of acceptance, then you start to do your inner transformation to become more serene.
So in those stages in anxiety, you open the doors
to other things, yes.
And they control you,
yeah.
And that becomes worse and worse.
Because when you are anxious, you have this feeling that something unpleasant is going to happen if you're not under control. Okay, so it's a feeling of insecurity, of anguish. It's not a good feeling. Okay. So here is a summary so you have the illusion of control of the future tense, the past tense, the external world, the people, what they do, what they think, okay? So, and I was gonna say something and I missed it. It will come. Okay, so let's keep going. So in the literature of André Luiz called O Mundo Maior in English, what do they call that? the higher world. Is that what they call it? Exactly. Okay, so he has this called the castle of the 3 floors. And then you have the future, the present, and the past. So the past is in the unconscious mind. It's the residence of our automatic impulses, symbolizes life's summary of accomplishment and services, and habit and automatism are related to the unconscious mind. Then we have in the present the preconscious mind, which is the domicile of current achievements, where the noble qualities we are building are built up and consolidated, and it's related to the effort and the will. So when you are living in the preconscious mind, you're gonna make the effort and you're gonna have the will to change your present situation. And then the future is in the conscious mind, which is the house of superior notions, indicates the eminences that must be achieved and higher purposes. So when you are already in the conscious mind, you are seeking, you are searching for something else. You're searching for spirituality. You are searching to understand the principles of life, the natural laws, and etc. Okay. And okay. So depending on what floor you are in your mental castle, we will make use of certain habits. We will strive or reach our goals of our higher self. So if we're conscious already, we are already seeking for a higher purpose in life. Okay, so how do we cure ourselves of all this? Okay, according to Alírio de Cerqueira Filho, you have to do transformation through self-love. Okay, because a lot of people, they have problems accepting themselves. We live in a society that is extremely hedonistic, and due to that, we compare ourselves all the time to other people, and we want to be what the media shows us. And that creates a lot of mental health problems. So we have to love ourselves, first off. If we do not love ourselves, we have to learn it. There are lots of techniques, lots of interventions that can be done to help you love yourself. Self-forgiveness, like I said before. Look at you, yeah, you have committed this or that, or you're not a good girl or a good boy, you know, but I have to forgive myself because at the time that I did that, I wasn't aware of the things that I am aware now. So just now I'm acquiring all of this knowledge, and then I'm blaming myself because of the things that I did in the past when I did not have that knowledge. And that's not right. So I have to look at the past. What can I do with the past? I can't change it. So I have to learn with it. I have to learn with the experiences and then keep going. Right?
And I believe an important thing is we have to learn how to forgiveness, how to forgive about our parents. Mm-hmm. Some parents, they grow our kids and talk, you're going to be nobody, and then kids grow up with like a bad emotional thoughts, and it becomes like a problem for them because and their kids need to learn how to forgive their parents and understand that there's not like bad persons, they're not like they have future.
Okay. If we look at the family constellation, for instance, our parents are our roots. Okay, they will always do according to what they know. And sometimes they will not do good, but they think that's the good they know. Yeah, that's the good they know. Yes, we do have to forgive them, yes, and we have to respect them for whatever it is because they brought us to life. They gave us life. They gave us the opportunity to be here when many other people abort. Okay, so yes, and once we acquire more knowledge, we can teach our parents if they were not good. You know, we can show them, here, I found this. What do you think? Let's talk about it, you know? Yes, just to fix, not to blame. Not to feel guilty, not to blame. Those are the feelings you don't want to have because they don't help. Okay? And then we have to repair our debts for love and not painfully through diseases. Okay? So that we may do that through love. And then modification of the will is like to have the desire and the willpower to do better, to be better, and to have better relationships. So the inner being will always reflect in the body what we think and feel. Okay? And Alirio talks about the law of permission. Okay? The law of permission helps us to free ourselves from the processes that hold us captive by refusing to connect with the law of merit. You should develop happiness through your efforts. Because what happens a lot of times, we don't allow ourselves to be happy because we think we do not deserve it. So we have to allow, and that's the law of permission. And we also have to think that we deserve to be happy. If we are trying to fix our transgressions, we deserve to be happy. If I have to go through a certain illness, I'm going to accept that, and I'm going to work on that, and I'm going to try to be as happy as I can until I get another opportunity to maybe have a better life. And it's hard to say, you know, we are all here. We want to be happy now. We don't want to wait until next incarnation to be happy. You know, we want to be able to be happy now. But sometimes the concept of happiness is material. It's not what happiness truly is, which is the happiness that the spirit has to feel. The happiness of having a mission accomplished, the happiness of helping other people, of being working for the light, of being useful in the world. And then the law of reparation, the way of us all, is repentance, atonement, and proof, and reparation. So love covers a multitude of sins. Love is always the answer, you know. And unfortunately, we do not know how to love. We still have to learn. And this is I got from a website, the 8 dimensions of wellness, which is emotional. So we have to be good with ourselves, with our emotions. And most importantly is to recognize what kind of emotion we are having, if it's positive or negative, so we can work on it if it's a negative emotion. Occupational, you know, so if we are doing something that we like, if we are working on something that gives us pleasure. Spiritual is finding a place where I can develop my spirituality and I'm tuned with it. Environmental, so I have to have a peaceful place, you know, where my spirit will feel at ease and at peace. Financially, I should be good, be able to pay my bills, have a house. We all deserve that. Socially, have a group of friends we can trust, we can rely on, have family, okay? Intellectually, it's advisable that you develop your intellectual, and Joana de Angelis talks a lot about it, because once she was questioned why her books were so hard to read and why she used such a difficult vocabulary. And then she said, that's for people to expand their minds and their knowledge. So physical, we have to take care of our body, exercise when we can, or walk and eat well, sleep well, and etc. Oops. I'm not really good at operating this, I guess. Okay. So this was, I think it was, what's his name, Thyssen, that brought this. What can we do? The 7 sins versus the 7 virtues. Okay, so greediness. If you have greediness, you can work on temperance and moderation. If you have avarice, you can work on generosity and detachment. If you have luxury, work on self-satisfaction and simplicity. Anger, work on patience, serenity, and peace. Envy, work on self-esteem, charity, compassion. Laziness, work on decision, charity, and compassion. And pride, work on modesty and humility. So if we keep the guilt, we keep punishing ourselves. Okay, so, and then punishes keep the disease. We have to free ourselves from the guilt, and we have to be aware of the self-healing power that we all have. So the actual healing takes place from the inside out and not the opposite. Okay? And we're almost ending. So medical and spiritual therapies that we may use for mental diseases. Multidisciplinary treatment with spiritual support. I'm reading this book from Joana de Angelis that is called, it's the work of Joana de Angelis in support to mental health or mental illness or something like it. The name in Portuguese is a little different, but that's the translation that I can get now. So, and she always, when she talks about mental health, either if it's schizophrenia or anxiety or depression or bipolar, she always associates the spiritual treatment with the medical treatment and therapy treatment. So it's a multidisciplinary thing. It's not one isolated thing that is going to resolve everything once the disease is installed in the body. So psychological treatment, family support is very important. Homeopathic physician, homeopathic acts in different levels, not only in the body. Disobsession sessions if necessary. Medical clinic, psychiatric treatment, social work education, gospel at home, spiritist education. So that's what she brings mostly as treatment. So healing is a profound operation of inner transformation. It's know thyself. Right? So what you do not solve in your mind, the body converts into sickness. Okay, and like I said, here we're talking about mental illness, but there are many other diseases that are converted into the body when we don't have a healthy mind. And that's it. Gratitude to you all. Thank you for listening, and have a good night.